Nassau, Bahamas has received a level 2 travel warning from the US State Department. And I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about what that means. What is a travel warning? What is level 2? What is it issued for? Why did the government feel the need to tell us to exercise increased caution when traveling to Nassau, Bahamas? And tell you some of the areas that I feel safe after visiting Nassau about 84 times. I'm even here today. Hey everybody, it's Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser, where I go on a weekend cruise just about every weekend. So I am in the Bahamas very frequently and wanted to talk about what I think is a fairly sensitive subject to a lot of people and bring some light or hopefully some clarity on what it means that Nassau has a level 2 travel advisory, because I know a lot of you are worried about coming to Nassau with this new advisory that has come out. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is what is a travel advisory? So this is issued from the US State Department. Every government, for the most part, is going to have some kind of a body that will warn their citizens if they are looking at traveling abroad because there's something going on in that country. That is what the US State Department does for us American citizens. There are 4 different levels that the US Travel Advisory issues. The first one is just exercise caution when you are traveling to this country. I think as a tourist, we should do that in every country. We probably should even do that in our normal daily lives. It's just be vigilant, be cautious, look around and be aware of your surroundings. The second travel level here, level 2, is going to be exercise increased caution. So there's been some incidents, there's been some things going on that, makes the government even more wary that you are traveling there. This is what the Bahamas has received. If you go up to level 3, that is a reconsider travel. So the issues have gotten so bad that the US government wants American citizens to reconsider going to that country that has a level 3 warning. And then level 4 is a do not travel. This is probably going to be most countries that you cannot get into, that our passports will not allow us to enter because we don't have good relations at all because of the various issues that have happened with that country. Now, as I mentioned, Nassau received the level 2 travel advisory, and unfortunately, this isn't new for Nassau. They have had travel advisories in the past. They received another one in April of 2022, but they date back all the way to 2018, and you can find all this data on the US State Department's website. I'll link to it down below in the comments to make it easy for you to find and read up on what the department is actually telling you specifically. Now, the reason that they issued this travel warning for Nassau this time is threefold. The first is to avoid south of Shirley Street, or over the hill as it's called in Nassau. This will include the Queen's Staircase. That is one place I know a lot of people like, and it is included in this travel advisory. The second one that you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to is the watercraft there are not maintained. I know the cruise lines also warn us about this. If you are renting a jet ski, an ATV of some kind, they are not well maintained all the time. You don't know what device you're getting on. There's no regulatory body to it, and it could malfunction and cause you bodily harm or injury. The third thing that Nassau has made the news for recently that also made it into this travel advisory is incidents involving sharks in their open water. This is definitely something that no one wants to think about, but it has had an increase here in Nassau with people going on tours and unfortunately having those incidents with sharks. In thinking through this level 2 travel warning with Nassau, I try to be pragmatic with it. The first thing that I wanted to know is, well, gosh, who else has a level 2? Like, I hadn't even really been thinking about it. What other countries have a level 2? So let's go through just a few that I pulled out. And there's close to 40, I think there's 37 of them if I counted correctly, that are at a level 2 by our US Department. So some of them that jumped out at me: Germany, Dominican Republic, Peru, South Africa. Belize is going to be on there. So if you're going to Belize on a cruise, you also need to exercise increased caution. One that hasn't gotten a lot of talk, I think Nassau gets a lot of talk because cruise ships are coming here by the droves these days, and Nassau gets an amazing number of tourists every single day. But Jamaica, unfortunately, is at a level 3. So that is a reconsider travel. So the State Department deems them to be worst. Not that it is a competition by any stretch that anyone's trying to win, but Jamaica does have a higher travel advisory than Nassau, Bahamas does. Now, my personal opinion, and this is my personal opinion, the first thing that I'll say here is I'm not going to guarantee your safety if you go on a trip. I'm not going to guarantee your safety if you walk out your front door. I can't do that. So I can say something is amazingly safe and something can still happen. So always exercise increased caution. I wish that I could control that. I don't. But where I personally have felt safe in coming to Nassau 84 different times is a lot of the walking tour. And so I'll link to the video here. It's a self-guided walking tour that you can go on. I only recommend going out of Nassau at this point, though, if you're in a group. So if you're not doing a walking tour with a group of people, I would then recommend going with a tour. There's plenty of tours that are listed here. Get your guide through your cruise ship. There's certainly something you can find that you and the entire family are going to enjoy that will keep you in a group. If you are a solo traveler like myself, I would recommend staying close to the ship. Even if you're in a group, stay within about a 15-minute radius of the ship and you probably will be okay, because there's tons of people. The cruise ships are bringing in I think 15 to 25,000 people every single day, and with that volume of people there, it's more difficult, in my opinion, for crime to occur. So make sure that you're staying vigilant. I think majority of the walking tour is good. So if you're going over to Grey Cliff, you're going to the Art Museum, you're going to John Watling's Brewery, you're going over to Junkanoo, those are all within 15 minutes of the cruise ship. What I'll say though is that the Queen's Staircase does fall squarely in what they call over the hill, which is south of Shirley Street. So if you do go there, and I think that it's fine to go there, there's lots of people, especially during the day, make sure that you are going with a group and exercising increased caution while you are there. What I would not recommend you doing, and I have been guilty of doing this in the past when I was younger and more adventurous, is I have walked to Atlantis and I've walked to Bahamas a few times, and that's a heck of a walk, by the way. I think that walk is about 2 hours. I do not recommend anybody else doing that, and I personally do not do that anymore myself. Alternative options to that are take one of the water taxis. They've got a water taxi that'll pick you up right from the port to take you over to Atlantis, or jump in one of the shuttle vans that are going to be operating from the port to take you exactly where you want to go. Nassau is known for some beautiful beaches that are not within 15 minutes walking that you still maybe want to get to. Cabbage Beach, Cable Beach, just to name a few popular ones. But make sure you're not getting an unregistered taxi that is not registered with the port and picking you up directly from there. Now let's talk about the worst part of Nassau. And this is one that I know everybody will agree with me. Let me know down in the comments actually if you agree with this is the worst part of Nassau. And that is going to be your first 30 seconds when you are exiting the port terminal. Now, first of all, their port terminal is beautiful. If you haven't seen the video on it, I'll link to it right here, so you can check out how beautiful the Port Authority has done with their new terminal here, their new port area. But when you go to leave this terminal, that is where you're going to see people trying to sell you, and in a different fashion than what many of us are used to. I mean, I necessarily don't always like somebody saying, "Hello, how can I help you?" when I walk into their store. In this case, you're going to be walking outside of the gates of the port, and people are going to be yelling at you, hollering at you, trying to get your attention in some kind of fashion to sell you an ATV, some kind of a tour. They may even be selling you some recreational drugs. And a lot of us just aren't accustomed to that, especially if we didn't come, or if you're not traveling on a cruise from an urban environment where it may be more prevalent. My solution to everybody yelling at you, catcalling, and trying to sell you something in a more aggressive fashion than we're accustomed to is to just say no. Don't say no thank you. That'll mean that, hey, I'm a nice person, I'm up for a conversation. No. Keep on walking. Don't stop, don't slow down, don't say anything else other than no. They will get the hint. And if you walk for 30 seconds, they'll be staying at the terminal exit where everybody else is, because if you don't want to buy something from them, maybe the next person will. So just keep pushing through. There is still more to see and do in Nassau. You just got to make it through the worst 30 seconds, as I call it, and from there, you're hopefully going to have an amazing time. Make sure per the U.S. Travel Department that you are exercising increased caution. Doesn't mean that you should not go to Nassau, in my opinion. It just means be a little bit more vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, make sure that you're going places during the day, and if you are, it's going to be on a cruise ship, and enjoy what Nassau has to offer. All right, everybody, this is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser, hoping to see you on a weekend cruise soon.